The playoffs in the NASCAR Cup Series, as on Saturday, they'll head to Daytona for the final race of the regular season.
WSIC weather, sunny and hot today with a high of 97 and the heat index reaching 104. Turning mostly cloudy overnight, the low 73. Then sunshine returns for Saturday, the high 95 with a heat index of 103. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Good afternoon. This is Fred Lowry. I'm a pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, and this is Health Talk. I would say the obligatory disclaimer here, this program is for educational and informational purposes. It does not constitute individual medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment of health problems. You know, you're in charge of your health and have more to do with your life and your health outcomes on a daily basis than myself, your pharmacist, your physician. So we always encourage you to take care of your health. I'm owner of Lowry Drug Company on Hartness Road in Statesville, established in 1959. We have a traditional pharmacy with a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory. We offer a full line of medical equipment and supplies, and we have a full line of supplements, nutritionals, herbals, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. So come see us. Pre-show, I heard the GoodRx ad come on. Listeners don't know that that's a free card, and as with all things free, if it is free, then you're probably the product, and they were sanctioned by the FTC for selling personal information to Google and Facebook, which I don't think is a good idea. So over the last, I'd say 10 days, I've encountered something that wasn't unusual with one person, but I've had it with two. So two children that I know of ended up with the typical bullseye Lyme's rash. If you haven't seen that, you can pull it up online. The first one didn't have the center red dot, and there was no known tick bite, but there was a rash around a ring around this area. And the doctor was smart enough to pick up on it and did a Lyme's test, and the child tested positive for Lyme's, and so started antibiotics. It was obviously caught early, which I think is important. And then another child that I saw about 7 days later myself, and there was another bullseye rash. This child's about 3 or 4, I think, but no tick bite. The child got a mosquito bite, and so I suggested the parents take the child to the doctor, get a test for Lyme's. And I think in this case, where you have something that's a classic symptom of an infection, it is probably a good idea to treat it. Early treatment of this is a positive thing to do. I'm not as big a fan of long-term antibiotic treatment for Lyme's, although that's kind of another issue. But this child actually showed up negative, which can happen. Just because you have a negative test does not mean that you don't have a particular illness. So the parents requested to go ahead and treat, which they did, which I think is definitely the right choice. So I always recommend using a good probiotic. Along with that, you don't take it at the same time that you're taking the antibiotic. And in this case with children, I would follow up for probably actually a couple of months. And repeated antibiotics in children. We also see C. diff, which is another type of bacterial infection. So that's important. My favorite probiotic is made by Natural Creations. It's Enterobiotic, SBO. It has 14 strains of the good bacteria. And it also, the SBO is soil-based organisms. So in the soil there's bacteria. If you get food out of the garden, it actually aids in digestion. So that's helpful. Now the question that comes up is the child number 2. A lot of people don't realize that mosquitoes can carry Lyme's disease. And so there is evidence that they do carry that bacteria, which is called Borrelia, in their gut. And they have they found it not only in the gut but the saliva of mosquitoes. So this is something that is kind of a curiosity. More women are prone to mosquito bites for some reason, probably because they smell sweeter than men, I guess. But there are people that do have or attract insect bites and mosquitoes in particular, and some of those individuals may have a higher toxic load. If you're exercising, you're creating lactic acid in the muscles, and that also has a little bit of a sweet smell. So that's a potential there. Now, one of the other things that is kind of a curiosity is the mosquito can actually that lays the eggs. That bacteria can be in the eggs, so the mosquito doesn't have to hatch and then let's just say have a blood feast on a deer to be able to carry this bacteria. It can actually happen through metamorphosis, and it's the insect is just born with that. So that's another interesting aspect, I think. You got a question?
Yeah, I just want, because it seems like this year the mosquitoes are out in force. How much of a risk is it that a mosquito in this area could be carrying?
Well, mosquitoes carry all kinds of different pathogens, just as other insects. So it's definitely a risk. I think a good strategy is to use an insect repellent that's made of essential oils. A good brand that we carry is called Nantucket Spider, and that can actually be sprayed on the skin. I don't recommend DEET, the chemical insect repellent, because it is toxic to the body. If you use DEET, you can spray it on your like a hat or some clothes, that type of thing. So you've got that risk. The tick risk is still there. It seems to be worse in the early spring with ticks, and walking through high grass is a risk factor, as well as walking under pine trees, because they seem to fall out of those pine trees. So the other co-infection that is transported by mosquitoes is Bartonella. It's a co-infection of Borrelia, which is the Lyme's organism, and that Bartonella is also associated with cat scratch fever. So those are things to consider. We are coming up on a hard break, so we'll be back shortly. This is Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, and more from Health Talk.
Keep it right here. Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug Company will return after this short break on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Asheville native Kane & Cox will be performing at Kane Center for the Arts Friday, August 25th. Show starts at 8 p.m. Kane Center for the Arts 2024 Fall Season. Buy your tickets now at kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Happy birthday, Huntersville! Celebrate Huntersville's 150th birthday this Saturday. Primal in Huntersville will have live music, food trucks, and special deals all day on August 26th. Huntersville is 150 years old, and you should celebrate at Primal off of Highway 115 in Huntersville. It is one of the last couple of weeks to enjoy open swim at the Kerrigan Farms Quarry. Thursday, August 31st is the end of the swim season at Kerrigan Farms Quarry. Swim up an appetite with the whole family and enjoy Kerrigan Farms Farm-to-Table Restaurant. Kerrigan Farms open swim at the quarry. Enjoy it before the end of
See
August.
one roach, you probably have a lot more. You need Combat Max Roach Killer. Combat kills the roaches you see and the ones you don't. Reclaim your home with Combat.
The full 9-person band. Have a full night of jazz music with the Eli Yacinth Band. Friday night at the Upper Room in downtown Statesville. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
I'm Nick Rice with your WSIC forecast. As we head through the rest of the afternoon, it's going to stay sunny with a high of 94, heat index of 102. Tonight, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight. Look for partly cloudy skies and a low of 73 in the morning. On Saturday, patchy fog will be around before 8. Otherwise, it's going to be sunny and hot. I'm Nick Rice from WSIC's Weather Center.
North Carolina weather is like a roller coaster. Too hot, too cold, raining, snowing. Don't like it? Wait 5 minutes, it might change. When we get those super nice days, you don't want to be outside doing yard work. No, you want to be doing fun stuff like playing with your dog, hiking, or whatever else. Let Eddie Josie handle the yard work. Eddie Josie does mowing, trimming, excavation, tree removal, and more. Plus, he takes care of the cleanup. Call Eddie Josie today at 704-902-4707. 704-902-4707.
Health Talk continues now. Here's your host, Fred Lowry, on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, we're back with a little bit of Jackson Brown there, Dr. My Eyes. Love that song. So just a quick follow-up on the Lyme's thing. I mentioned that it's, long-term treatment is not really the best approach in my estimation. I will say that there are many people that have chronic infections that they function better when they're on antibiotics. If that's the case, then that is one approach. But one of the problems with long-term antibiotics in this situation is that bacteria will morph into other forms, and so you're basically chasing something you cannot catch, because as the environment, the internal environment changes, bacteria will adapt to the environment, and that's true in anything. So there are other approaches to that, and this is one reason I do think that it's a good idea to particularly early treatment before that bacteria really gets established, starts reproducing, etc. I think it's probably a good idea to do early antibiotic treatment. if you can catch it early. So I know everybody's tired of talking about this somewhat, the COVID thing and the shots, but since the CDC is cranking up on this for the fall, I think I will too. And this was a report from the Epic Times talking about the CDC's warning. I think it was a week ago, saying that the new variant, it may, keyword may, and it's always could, may, whatever, cause infection in people who received vaccines or previously had the virus, and talking about high number of mutations. This is not news. This is, viruses mutate. It's just another thing to say, and this is not really what I call science. It's just I don't even know what you even call it.
Don't viruses mutate faster than any other infection that you can have?
Yeah, in most cases, there are some viruses that are somewhat stable, but particularly these kind of viruses, they'll mutate. I could get it, and it could mutate before it got to you, basically. Some of the mutations happen in the host, based on whatever the genetic makeup or other viral loads that are there. So these kind of vaccines are obsolete before they even can make it to the market, and we've seen that. I mean, there's nothing new about that. They said that these virus samples are not yet broadly available for more reliable testing of antibodies, and it's too soon to know. Well, why even mention it? I mean, it's what does that say? They also say, talking about that the new mutations in the new viruses, the CDC states that COVID-19 tests and antiviral drugs are likely still going to work against it. How would they know that? They don't know. Do the tests work? Antiviral drugs, like, are they talking about ivermectin now, which is not approved, but for as an antiviral, but their attorneys recently did come out and say that yes, doctors can prescribe ivermectin. So this is not science. They're making assumptions that if you get it, the tests will work. And on top of that, the three companies that are making these vaccines for the fall are slated to make a new version of it, so does that is that going to work? No, it's not going to work. So I think we can look for maybe an upsurge or a push for more of these shots, and perhaps mask mandates again. We don't know. Speaking of ivermectin, interesting that, and this comes on the tail of that, which was a couple of weeks ago that I mentioned about doctors can now prescribe ivermectin. There was a paper published in Curious August 8th. It found a 74% reduction in excess deaths in 10 states with the most intensive ivermectin use over a 30-day peak period. Now, data in Peru, they opened up a program where basically they provided ivermectin for people whether they were at high risk or not in an operation during the pandemic, and also provide them with food to keep them enough food to keep them isolated for 15 days. And so they found that when ivermectin was available without restrictions, there was a 14-fold reduction in nationwide excess deaths. This is a published study. And then once ivermectin was restricted by the government, there was a 13-fold increase in excessive deaths in the 2 months to follow. So I find this, a pretty positive study. There's been other things out there like that, but and so the other thing that came out the middle of this month, and you'll be able to see why I got back on this vaccination thing, because the NIH claims that pregnant women and newborns can benefit from COVID boosters based on actually flawed studies as reported by the Epic Times. So, that when you start talking about vaccines during pregnancy, developmentally, and vaccines for children, it's like any other thing. Every drug, every therapy has to stand on its own. So just because, let's just say there is a particular vaccine or whatever that you're ingrained in your mind and your education that is supposed to help a particular disease, that does not mean that every vaccine thereafter is safe or effective. Everything has to stand on its own. Same thing's true with drugs or anything like that. So, I think we've seen over the past few years that obviously the vaccines didn't work. And by the way, there's no data that says that they work. I talked with someone one time that said, well, it saved a lot of lives. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that because there's no way to compare that. So with this NIH recommendation, they're recommending 2 shots and a booster for pregnant mothers. And they're basing this saying that they showed significantly higher antibody levels in the babies that were born. Okay, well they create antibodies. That's what they're supposed to do. Flaws in the study, though. So here again, this is not science, because what they studied was the monovalent COVID vaccines, which are no longer available. So in science, you cannot extrapolate one product to the next product. They did not assess the effectiveness of the vaccine against the currently dominant strain. They're all only measuring did this create antibodies, and they did not provide any safety data for the third vaccine dose. This study was called MOMIVAX, MOMI, and so there were 500 pregnant women and their newborns across 9 sites. And also, the other part of this, they only included 240 participants in the results. 167 received 2 doses of either Moderna or Pfizer shot. Once again, 2 different products. So they were looking at the antibodies. And based on the fact that there were more antibodies with 3 shots, that's why they recommended the booster. More about this when we come back. Coming up on a hard break. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine from Lowry Drug.
More Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug Company is coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Local and North Carolina news now on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC. News Talk Now.
I'm Mike Jackson, WSIC News. Faced with an ongoing challenge that affects close to 20,000 Iredell County residents, the Iredell County Health Department and United Way of Iredell County are joining together to combat food insecurity to ensure everyone has access to food and knows where to find local resources. The website, iredellfood.org, is where you can go for all the details. And a man was found dead this morning in Johnston County after a hit and run on U.S. Highway 70. The State Highway Patrol is asking for the public's help to find the person or persons responsible. Around 1:20 a.m., the SHP said a man was hit by a car near US 70 Business in Wilson's Mills. The SHP said the man appeared to have been run over by at least one vehicle, which did not stop. No arrests have been made. The investigation is ongoing. Now, sports with Joe Berg.
Tonight, the Carolina Panthers take on the Detroit Lions in the final preseason game of the year. And on Saturday night, NASCAR Cup Series action from Daytona for the final race of the regular season.
WSIC weather, another scorcher, sunny, hot 97 with a heat index at 104. Turning mostly cloudy overnight, a low of 73, then sunshine returns for Saturday. The high 95 and a heat index at 103. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Get in on the savings now at extremely low interest rates at Black Automotive on the Salisbury Road in Statesville. The 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 Crew Cab now has interest rates as low as 1.9% and up to $3,000 in rebates on select models. GMC Terrains as low as 1.9% also. Rebates up to $1,500, and the all-new GMC Canyon truck with an incentive of up to $1,500 now at Black Automotive. Thinking about a Buick? Now, all Buick models have interest rates as low as 3.9% and rebates up to $2,000 on select models. And the new Buick Envista is soon to arrive, an SUV with the ride of a sedan. A price and model for any budget, available on pre-owned, and the price you can't afford to pass up. It's Black Automotive in Statesville, the Greater Car Trader, Iredell County's most preferred dealer.
Hello everyone, this is Joshua Dobie from North Main Financial Group. We're blessed at North Main Financial Group that most of our clients come to us by referral. When folks have a good experience with us, they share that good experience with their friends, family, and colleagues. In doing so, when we're sitting with folks then, we're looking at their financial plan and seeing if it aligns with their goals and their desires for what yet lies ahead, be it college, be it retirement, or be it estate planning. If that sounds of interest to you, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at northmainfinancial.com.
Where the heart of Lake Norman lives. WSIC. News Talk Now.
Now more Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand.
Let it play.
I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding. You must help me if you can. Doctor, my eyes.
That's good. Well, we're back. Thought we'd let that play a little longer. Continuing on the mommy vac study, the Dr. James Thorpe, a maternal fetal medicine specialist, said that the NIH suggesting COVID vaccinations and boosting during pregnancy that benefits pregnant people. Now I'm woke again. newborns is extremely dangerous. So, along with that, they've never been proven to be safe. During the rollout, the evidence by Pfizer's 2021 cumulative analysis post-authorization adverse events shows 1,223 deaths in the first 10 weeks of the COVID vaccine rollout, 81% miscarriage rate, nearly six-fold increase in fetal death, 7.9 increase in neonatal death, breastfeeding complications, and 14.7%. And the adverse events reporting system, released August 4th by the CDC, shows 9,203 pregnant women reporting adverse events related to COVID-19 vaccinations, including 5,327 reports of miscarriage and premature births between December 14th, 2020 and August 4th, 2023. On top of that, August 22, the FDA approves the children's RSV shot for pregnant women. RSV is respiratory syncytial virus. It does affect, in fact, nearly all children ages by age of 2, and it's generally a mild cold-like disease. The concept would be that the shots are supposed to help infants up to 6 months old fight this cold-like virus. According to the HuffPost, the clinical trials of the shots did not prevent RSV, yet proved 82% effective rate in preventing a severe case. Pfizer makes that shot. It's recommended in the last few weeks of pregnancy. So this is a RNA virus. And so I looked at the package insert. The package insert is the accompanying literature made by from the manufacturer. And under the fetal neonatal adverse reactions, the population that were included were about 3,500 infants on each side, placebo versus the ones that got the shot. There were 10 fetal deaths in the ones treated with the vaccine, and 8 fetal deaths in the placebo. There was also in the let's see, let me find this. Low birth weight was observed in 5.1% of the ones treated and 4.4% of the ones not treated. Neonatal jaundice, a liver disease, was observed in 7.2% of the treated group and only 6.7% of the placebo group. There were 5.7% of the treated group that were born preterm versus 4.7%. So you can see the treated group had more adverse illness. But to be fair, in this document, pardon, the mortality rate of the neonatal groups ended up being a little less than the placebo group. Risk summary. I'll take a sip of water here. It's under lactation. It's not known that the drug is excreted in human milk. It's probably not known because they didn't check it, but I think it would be a reasonable assumption to say that it would transfer. So this vaccination is a a product of something called recombinant therapies, and that's a method of basically genetic manipulation of a product. Your human insulin is made with recombinant bacteria. This particular RSV virus is recombinant proteins that are expressed in genetically engineered Chinese hamster ovary cell lines. This is coming from the literature, from the actual document accompanying the vaccination. So it says it has no preservatives, but does contain residual amounts of host cell protein and DNA from the manufacturing process. So there's a big question there, whether or not the DNA forms something called plasmids that actually can integrate into an individual's DNA. That's a real thing.
Sounds like science fiction.
Well, it's not, because actually, if you think about genetic modification of plants, the way they do that is they take genetic material from a foreign organism, could be chimeric even, and they put it in the cytoplasm of the cell. And the idea, they want it to combine with the genetic material in that cell, and they tag it with a fluorescent marker so they know which ones picked it up. So when you put DNA of that's viable DNA into something, it has the possibility of integrating into your own DNA. And one of the things that happens with these viruses or these vaccinations is when they grow this stuff, sometimes they'll grow it in bacteria like E. coli, and they can't separate out the DNA from the RNA completely. The hepatitis B vaccination that was given, and still is given, to infants on day one, the package insert accompanying used to say contains 5% unknown protein, translates into 5% unknown genetic material. They're amino acids. So we don't really completely know or about how that happens, how it integrates into other things. We know a lot about it, but the same thing was true for according to experts, there was DNA in the COVID shots in the same way. So you just can't separate out things completely. I will say on the RSV thing is that the incident of infection with children that require hospitalization, they estimate between 60 and 80,000, and there are 300 deaths approximately associated with that virus in children under the age of 5. Most of these include high-risk conditions, premature birth, congenital heart disease, chronic lung diseases, neuromuscular disorders, immunodeficiency, etc. So once again, you have to get into risk versus benefit, which is a very difficult thing when you're talking about a child. Coming up on another break, we'll be back with Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry.
Keep it right here. Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug Company will return after this short break on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Asheville native Kane & Cox will be performing at Kane Center for the Arts Friday, August 25th. Show starts at 8 p.m. Kane Center for the Arts 2024 Fall Season. Buy your tickets now at kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Happy birthday, Huntersville! Celebrate Huntersville's 150th birthday this Saturday. Primal in Huntersville will have live music, food trucks, and special deals all day on August 26th. Huntersville is 150 years old, and you should celebrate at Primal off of Highway 115 in Huntersville. It is one of the last couple of weeks to enjoy open swim at the Kerrigan Farms Quarry. Thursday, August 31st is the end of the swim season at Kerrigan Farms Quarry. Swim up an appetite with the whole family and enjoy Kerrigan Farms Farm-to-Table Restaurant. Kerrigan Farms open swim at the quarry. Enjoy it before the end of August. Love cycling? Love supporting veterans? Purple Heart Homes presents Take That Hill. Sign-ups are open now. The event is Saturday, October 7th. It is a great way to support a local organization focused on veterans. Take That Hill, presented by Purple Heart Homes. For more info, visit bikesignup.com. Eli Yacinth Band is playing this Friday, August 25th at the Upper Room in downtown Statesville. Enjoy a great show with a full 9-person band. Have a full night of jazz music with the Eli Yacinth Band, Friday night at the Upper Room in downtown Statesville. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
I'm Nick Rice with your WSIC forecast. As we head through the rest of the afternoon, it's going to stay sunny with a high of 94, heat index of 102. Tonight, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before midnight. Look for partly cloudy skies and a low of 73 in the morning. On Saturday, patchy fog will be around before 8. Otherwise, it's going to be sunny and hot. I'm Nick Rice from WSIC's Weather Center.
Across America
Espionage charges are absolutely ridiculous.
and closer to home.
Our border's under siege. Inflation's at a near 40-year high. Gas prices are through the roof. Crime is skyrocketing in our major cities. And our national debt is piling up like a mountain range.
What matters to you?
We do not need to have our commander-in-chief not protecting our nation's secrets.
This is WSIC News.
Call now to speak with Fred Lowry at 704-873-1400. It's Health Talk on WSIC.
We're back. Welcome back on this Friday afternoon. Still hot outside everywhere. Next on the list here is talking about CoQ10. So coenzyme Q10 is the enzyme that allows you to make energy on a cellular level in the mitochondria, which is what drives energy. One major recommendation for most people would be if you're on a statin drug, you should be on coenzyme Q10. You know, the heart has more mitochondria reportedly than any cell in the body. Almost according to this article, almost 5,000 mitochondria per cell in cardiac muscles. So it makes up about 35% of the cardiac tissue, compared with only 3 to 8% in skeletal muscles. So CoQ10 basically in the mitochondria helps produce ATP, energy on a cellular level. It's in virtually every tissue and organ, abundant everywhere basically. It's vital in cholesterol metabolism, maintaining pH, regulation of gene expression, all kinds of things. And when you take a statin drug, the statin drug interferes with an enzyme system pardon me, in the liver that is responsible for making this enzyme. It's also, by the way, the enzyme system that is responsible for detoxifying certain chemicals. So that's a problem. A low amount of CoQ10 becomes a cardiovascular risk factor, which is what you're trying to prevent with the statin drug. So one of the side effects of a statin is muscle weakness, aches, low energy, that type of thing. And some people, I've known a few people that for some reason took a statin drug and didn't recover really from taking that drug. And with most people, these side effects are reversible. There was a study about cardiovascular risk factors analyzing over 800 studies. It was a systematic review, meta-analysis, over 880,000 people, and they showed it actually taking CoQ10 decreased mortality in all events, helps with blood pressure, stroke. In some cases, it may help with reported to help with migraines. It's also helpful in stopping the progression of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So these are all things that particularly if you're taking a statin, and even if you're not having symptoms, I do recommend taking coenzyme Q10. As you decrease the LDL cholesterol, which is characterized as being bad, it's not. It's used for all kinds of things, including making your hormones, your steroid hormones, testosterone, estrogen, cortisol, which is needed. Sometimes cortisol is characterized as being bad, but it does help run things overall and maintaining blood sugar levels. It's part of your circadian rhythm, and so when you decrease LDL, you potentially decrease your hormones and your ability to make them. There's also a fluid balancing hormone, aldosterone, in that cascade. So and I ran across a doctor actually in this county that started prescribing pregnenolone for his statin patients. And just out of curiosity, I called him and said, "Tell me about this." And he said, "Well, since we're lowering LDL, and from LDL cholesterol you make pregnenolone, and from pregnenolone you make all these other hormones. So I just want to make sure my patients are covered for that hormone cascade that they need." And so, given pregnenolone, the body makes what it needs to make just from the starting. It's called the mother hormone. And I thought that was brilliant. It was a great idea for many people because as we age, hormones diminish, and we lose our youth, and a lot of that is related to what are those hormone levels. So when we're young and our hormone levels are optimal, hopefully, we stay healthier. You look better, your skin's in better condition. All that is important. Having lower hormone levels is also associated with depression, and has been lower LDL has been associated with violent suicide in men. So I kind of like my LDL. Now is it a risk factor? It certainly can be, depending on situation, but it's really not the whole picture. your blood sugar control becomes important. Your omega-3 fats are vitally important. And so fish oil, something that a lot of people do, they take fish oil, but they don't take enough of it. Some people will take one capsule, which is about 1 gram. It's important to take probably 3 to 4 grams of primarily animal-based omega-3 fats. There's a product that pharmaceutical companies came out with called Visipa. So it was a prescription fish oil, and they recommended 4 grams a day of that. And they had a tremendous improvement in triglycerides, which, by the way, if you have triglycerides, it's because of your diet. You're eating too many carbs, too much sugar. But basically, they had, I think, I don't see it here at the moment, but I recall a 25% improvement, or actually, here it is, 25% reduction in cardiovascular risk, with the Visipa compared to the placebo. So that's pretty impressive. Most people eat too much omega-6 fats, which would be more animal fat, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be if it's out of balance with everything else. So omega-3s have a great heart benefit as well. They help with arrhythmias. It's anti-inflammatory. People can actually reduce pain and decrease inflammation just by taking fish oil. It does help with lower triglycerides, improves blood pressure. It has a beneficial effect on the heart's electrical system, and also the cell membrane, which is really the cell membrane in your body. Is completely nutrient dependent, and it's I'd almost call it the brains of the operation versus what everybody thinks the nucleus inside, which contains the genetic material, because the cellular membrane is what controls it's the gateway, if you will, between nutrients coming in and waste coming out, and that includes insulin and glucose. So insulin sensitivity and problems with your metabolism is completely diet related. Yes, there may be some genetic factors, but if you try to live in a healthy lifestyle, you can turn on your good genetic potential versus turning on the negative, which is called epigenetics. And it's an important thing. So, going back to my original disclaimer, it's really you who is in charge of taking care of yourself and with the style of your life and how you want to live and how you want to think and the whole package. So this is Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville, 750 Hartness Road. We have a lot of things that may be helpful in your walk for better wellness. Just walk in and get what you need. I can help you with in personal consultations as well. Come see us.